Hello, welcome to More Faith with Kisha. My first name is Kisha and my last name is Moore, and on this channel we talk all things, most things, faith. I love to give my faith testimonies to motivate, inspire, and to encourage you to keep the faith in your goals, in your dreams, in your aspirations, your desires, and most importantly, to keep your faith in God because He will make it happen. So I want to give a testimony about a time in my life when I was a teenager, around the age of 19, and I became homeless for a short period, a short season. No, I wasn't homeless sleeping on the street, but basically homeless is when you don't have a permanent place to stay or reside and you're going from place to place. So that is a situation that I was in. I'll give you a little bit of backstory. I was raised with my grandma. She always provided, took care of us. My mom was, in and out, but she was around. So I was always provided for, always had a place to stay, clean places, nice. We lived in apartments most of my life, but they were always like really, really nice apartments. And my grandma was like super clean, always had like the latest clothes, fashion. So I didn't grow up like not having a place to stay or going through homelessness or not having things. So that wasn't, my story growing up. But at the age of like 19, I was living in a valley with my grandmother, my brother, and a few other family members. And it was just one of my brothers. He was always the type of person to get into altercations, get into situations where it would actually not only affect him, but it would affect other people. So to make a long story short, he ended up getting into a situation where some people came to our house with a gun. And they basically tried to, they planned on like causing some damage, shooting, killing, or whatever it was. But my uncle opened the door, and when he saw the gun, he reacted real quick and he fought the guy off, and the gun went off in the house. But, the guy escaped, the police came, and the guy dropped his ID. So I'm just giving you a little backstory because this is not the focus, but I'm just trying to let you know of how I ended up homelessness. So after that situation happened, like we could not stay in that apartment. Like we had to leave like really quick. So I ended up moving with one of my friends who lived down the street. Some of my family went to LA to live with my aunt for a while. And my grandma was living in LA with my aunt, and so my grandmother decided to move to Texas, where she is originally from. And this all happened in California. So I'm from Southern California. So this happened in California. My grandma ended up moving to Texas, where she was from. She purchased a house, and she told me like, hey, like if you want to come, you can come. And me being a teenager, not really liking Dallas, not Dallas, but Texas. It was like West Texas, where it was like really country. I'm like, I don't want to go to, West Texas. There was nothing out there. Like I made the choice to stay in California. So she left without me and stayed in California. I was living with my friend in the valley for a few months, ended up leaving her place, went to stay with my aunt in LA. Ended up leaving there because of some situation. I got into some disagreements with some of my cousins, which was her daughters, and made me feel uncomfortable, made me feel like I wasn't welcome, and told me like this is their mom's house and all that stuff. So I ended up leaving, went to stay with my stepdad, got kicked out, went to stay with my friends in Gardena. And so I'm just like place to place, and just kind of like not having any direction. But God was always with me. He was always providing. He was always, opening a door from someone else, even if it was like a short period. So like I said, I wasn't homeless on the street, but homeless just going from place to place to place. And at 19 years old, like that can be like very hard. It can be very discouraging. You can be tempted to do things that are ungodly to survive, which I did not do. I didn't compromise or anything like that. So I ended up getting a job being a security guard. So, as a security guard, all you have to do is take a test, get your guard card, and they'll place you in a location where you're basically just watching and observing and just telling people like where to go or whatever. And so one of the locations, it was in Century City, California. Now in Century City back in the day, like I'm 43 years old. So this was like when I was like 19. So this was probably like 25 years ago. It was a very prominent, popular, poppin' area. Like all the young people used to hang out in Century City. they had the Century City Mall, and right across the street from Century City Mall, there was a club called Century City Club or whatever. And I remember one night, I was doing security work there at the mall, which was across the street from the club. And it was late at night. I was in the parking lot, just kind of directing traffic. And while I was standing there, I remember just feeling like so sad, feeling depressed, feeling like, dang, like when I leave work, I don't want to go back to the place where I'm staying. I don't want to go back to my friend's house and stay there. And then also just being a young adult, I'm seeing all these cars with friends playing their music, laughing, and I'm sitting there or standing there watching and observing all this. And in my mind, I'm feeling like that should be me. I should be the one going to the club. I should be the one out, getting dressed up, hanging out with my friends. And I was embarrassed. I was like, they're looking, I'm thinking in my mind, I felt like they were judging me, looking at me, laughing at me. Cause like, why is this young girl, like 19 years old, doing security, in the parking lot in front of the mall across the street from the club? So I just remember, like, I just felt so embarrassed. Like, I didn't have a car. Like, I didn't have anything. Like, I was living out of trash bags. When I was going from place to place, I didn't even have a luggage. I literally just had a trash bag. So I'm just standing there just feeling embarrassed, but God was with me. God protected me. You know what I mean? And just thinking like, man, I shouldn't be going through this at the age of 19. I should be more stable. I should have a place to go. I shouldn't have to stay with my friends and family and just going from place to place. This is not something that I ever want to be in my entire life. Like, I never want to experience this situation again. And so one of the things I realized God was showing me in that season, he was showing me how to persevere when times get hard, and how to not be consumed so much by culture and what people think and the things around me. But even if it is embarrassing, even if it feels hard, like, I still stood there at that post and I worked and I earned my paycheck. Yes, at that time, it would have been nice to go out, and hang out with friends and have a car and have all these things. But I was working hard. Like, I didn't, compromise my sexuality. I wasn't sleeping with guys to get things. I wasn't stealing. I wasn't doing drugs. I wasn't doing any of those things. Like, God was building character in me. He was teaching me how to be, have good character and just to persevere when times get hard and when it's tough and when you don't want to do something, you still stand firm and you do it, right? So as an adult, when times get hard in my life and I think about, everything that God has brought me out of, it was like that was a blessing in my life. I've had seasons where I did, as an adult, after like 19, in my 20s, 30s, I've had seasons or short periods where I did go out and I did drink and, do those type of things, but it was never something that I did consistently. It wasn't a habit that I developed. And I believe that during that time, like, God was protecting me from that. It looks so much fun to be hanging out, partying, cursing, listening to music, drinking, having sex. It looks fun, but it's like, what seeds are you planting into your life that can affect your future? A lot of teenage girls that I grew up with, they ended up getting pregnant. Some, on drugs, some just depending on men and never getting their lives together. But I learned to depend on God. I learned to, keep the character, like, don't compromise. And then also just being able to stand alone with God and just me, and not be embarrassed to do the things that God has told me to do, and not compromise because I want to fit in with the crowd, with the it crowd and with the popular crowd. Like, I'm in a season of my life where it's just me and God. And sometimes people judge you and they think like, oh, she's acting like she's so holy, she's this and she's that. But there's a lot of things that God is teaching me in the background that people don't know. So I just want to encourage you, if you are in a season of hard times, if you are in a season where everything doesn't feel like it's going the way that you want it to go, If you feel like you're in a season where you're tempted to compromise, just stay focused on the goal. If people laugh at you, if people mock you, if you feel embarrassed, it doesn't matter. Just stand there. Even if it doesn't feel good, just continue to stand firm in what you know is right, firm in doing the right things, and firm in making the right decisions. And watch how God will bless you and open up doors because you're walking in the ways that He has called you to walk in. So keep the faith, be blessed. Talk to you next time. Bye.